The desert between them. The desert did not forgive, and it did not forget. It stretched endlessly beneath a burning sky, where heat shimmered like ghosts rising from the sand. Days passed without mercy, and nights fell cold and silent, swallowing every sound. It was a place where even the strongest men lost their way. Yet she walked through it alone. Her name was Elena. Her steps were slow, unsteady, but relentless. The wind clawed at her dress, tearing what little fabric remained. Dust clung to her skin, her lips cracked from thirst, but her eyes, dark and fierce, refused to dim. She was searching for her children. 3 nights ago, her small settlement at the edge of the desert had been torn apart. Horses thundered through the quiet evening, and gunfire shattered the calm. Men with no faces, only shadows and cruelty, stormed into their lives. They took what they wanted: food, money, and worse. They took her children. She remembered their screams more clearly than anything else. Matteo, the eldest, trying to be brave. Sophia crying out for her. Little Tomas reaching for her hand as rough arms pulled him away. No one followed. Fear kept the others behind their doors, hiding in silence. But Elena had no choice. A mother does not weigh danger when her children are taken. She only moves. And so she walked. By the second day, the desert began to blur. The horizon wavered like a lie, promising water that never came. Her legs trembled, and more than once she fell to her knees, pressing her hands into the scorching sand. But she always stood again. It was near dusk when she saw him. A lone figure near a cluster of jagged rocks, where a small fire flickered weakly against the wind. A horse stood nearby, calm and strong, its saddle worn from long journeys. The man sat quietly, hat low over his face, as if he belonged to the silence itself. Elena hesitated. In this land, strangers were rarely kind. But she had nothing left to lose. She stumbled forward, each step heavier than the last. The man looked up as she approached, his eyes sharp and steady, like someone who missed nothing. "You shouldn't be out here alone," he said, his voice calm but firm. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. Only a dry whisper. "My children." He stood slowly, studying her. There was no pity in his gaze, only understanding. "What happened?" he asked. "They were taken. A gang, heading east." Her voice broke, and she steadied herself against a rock. The cowboy glanced at the horizon, then back at her. "You won't last another day out here like this," he said. "I don't need to last," she replied weakly. "I just need to find them." For a moment, the wind was the only sound between them. Then he sighed, reaching for a canteen and handing it to her. "Drink," he said. She hesitated, then took it. The water was warm, but it felt like life itself as it touched her lips. "Name's Cole," he added. "Elena," she whispered. He nodded once, then picked up his revolver, checking it with practiced ease. "If they went east," he said, "then we've got a trail to follow." She looked at him, unsure. He met her gaze. "Yeah," he said simply. They traveled through the night. Cole moved with quiet confidence, guiding them through the desert as if he had walked it 100 times before. He read the land like a story, hoofprints pressed into the sand, broken branches, ashes left behind by careless men. Elena followed, her strength slowly returning with every step. "Why are you helping me?" she asked at one point, her voice barely above the wind. Cole didn't answer right away. Finally, he said, "Because someone should have helped you sooner." It wasn't much, but it was enough. The days that followed tested them both. The sun burned relentlessly, and water was scarce. They rationed what little they had, sharing each drop. At night, they rested beside small fires, the stars above them endless and cold. Elena spoke often of her children. "Matteo is 10, she said one night, staring into the flames. "He thinks he's stronger than he is. Always trying to protect his brother and sister." Cole listened quietly. "Sophia, she loves to sing. Even when there's nothing to sing about." A faint smile touched Elena's lips. "And Tomas, he's only 5. He still believes the world is kind." Cole looked away at that. "They'll hold on," he said after a moment. "Kids are stronger than they seem." She nodded, though fear still lingered in her eyes. On the third day, they found signs. A campsite hidden between rocks, the fire long gone but the ashes still warm beneath the surface. They were here, Cole said, crouching low. Alina's heart raced. Are we close? He stood, scanning the horizon. Close enough to be careful. By sunset, they reached a narrow canyon. Cole raised his hand, signaling her to stop. He moved ahead quietly, then returned moments later. They're inside, he said. 5 men, maybe 6, and my children, she asked, her voice trembling. He met her eyes. They're alive. Relief flooded through her, nearly bringing her to her knees. We get them back tonight, Cole said. But you stay hidden until I say otherwise. She shook her head. No. I'm coming with you. Elena, they're my children. The determination in her voice left no room for argument. Cole nodded slowly. Then you do exactly as I say. Darkness fell, wrapping the canyon in shadow. The gang sat around a fire, laughing, their voices echoing off the stone walls. Nearby, the children were tied beside a wagon, huddled together. Elena saw them and felt her heart break and mend all at once. Cole moved like a ghost. Silent, precise. One by one, he took down the guards at the edges of the camp, his movements quick and controlled. When the first shot rang out, it was already too late for the others. Chaos erupted. Men scrambled for their weapons, shouting, firing blindly into the dark. Cole stood firm, his revolver steady, each shot finding its mark. Elena ran. She didn't think, didn't stop. She reached the wagon and fell to her knees, her hands shaking as she untied the ropes. Ami, Sophia cried, throwing her arms around her. I'm here, Elena whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm here. Matteo tried to stay strong, but his voice broke. Tomas clung to her, sobbing. Behind them, the gunfire stopped. Silence returned. Cole lowered his weapon, the last of the outlaws lying still in the dust. He turned just in time to see Elena holding her children, their small forms wrapped tightly in her arms. For a moment, nothing else mattered. They left the canyon before dawn. The journey back was slower, but lighter somehow. The children rode the horse while Cole and Elena walked beside them. Are you coming with us? Matteo asked at one point. Cole shook his head. No, I've got my own road. Elena looked at him, a quiet understanding passing between them. You saved us, she said softly. He shrugged. You would have found a way. She smiled faintly. Maybe, but I'm glad I didn't have to. When they reached the edge of the desert, the world began to change. The air softened, and life slowly returned to the land. It was there they stopped. Elena turned to Cole, her children gathered close. Thank you, she said. He tipped his hat. Take care of them, he replied. I will. For a moment, it seemed like she might say more. But some things didn't need words. Cole mounted his horse, glancing back one last time. Then he rode off into the desert. The wind carried on, as it always did. But this time, it carried something different. Hope.